Those are the sounds that I heard on a regular basis growing up in my neighborhood of Gage Park. Those are the sounds that would shock me out of my sleep, or when I was awake, cause me to hit the floor because I didn't want to become the next victim of a stray bullet. Those sounds remind me and my peers that our lives could be taken in an instant. It actually caused a lot of my peers to stop dreaming and to live only for today. I wanted to live, I wanted to dream, and I wanted a future. How could I achieve that? How could you achieve that when you're living in a world of violence? It's very hard to imagine anything beyond that, anything beyond the graffiti, anything beyond the abandonment of the structures that surrounded us on a daily basis. As you look at the schools in Gage Park, you can see how some of the students can feel that they are not important. This is an elementary school a couple of blocks away from my home. And if you look closely, you can see that the exterior gate is actually crashed in. How long has it been that way? How many years have children passed by and seen this? This is an only high school that served the area of Gage Park. You can see that the sidewalks are cracked. There's really not much inspiration in the landscape, and the fencing is old. My peers and I thought that this is something that we could not change, that our streets would never change, that the graffiti would never go away, and that we were basically living in a war zone. So how can we escape that? My out was education. There was no doubt that I was going to go to college. So at an early age, I told my parents that I wanted to become an architect. They told me, oh, that's a male-dominated field. Are you sure you want to do that, Claudette? I said, yes, and they remained supportive. So I began my educational career at IIT, and I had some of my peers actually tell me that I would never become an architect because of my name, because of where I grew up, because of where my parents originated from, and because I just wasn't smart enough. So one lesson that I learned from Gage Park is to always keep your game face on. Never let them see you cry, and move forward. I cried. I cried alone. I don't think anyone ever saw it. I don't think my parents did. I don't think my friends did. Everyone always sees the strong Claudette. That's purposeful. So instead of giving in to that, I added a minor in structural engineering to my undergraduate degree. I was going to show them. So I remember my last year at IIT. I was afraid. I felt alone that I was going to graduate and enter the workforce. That freaked me out. So I had to stomp that down again and know that everything would be fine. I graduated with my undergraduate degree in architecture. I went into the workforce, and I later went on to graduate with my master's degree in structural engineering, which is a great feat for a girl from Gage Park. Throughout my career in education and then on to actually in the field of construction management, I never forgot the community of Gage Park. I never forgot my friends. I never forgot the memories that we shared or the lives that were lost. Other peers that weren't with us anymore. So when my boss spoke about a project that we were going to work on in Gage Park, I immediately started hounding him. I said, you need to get me on this project. I need to be on this project. Little did I know that this project would change the way that I looked at my community and the way that I looked and approached architecture forever. This is actually a site very similar to the site that we started this project on. And this project began like any other project. The owner gave us his expectations. He said, this structure needs to be inviting, innovative, economical, and most importantly, it had to consider future developments that could come that surrounded the site, which meant that these structures could not turn their back on the community. Oh, and by the way, you have 1 month for design and 10 to 9 months for construction. What? How can you have a buildable design within 1 month? And why did this project have to be open? Did he not realize how dangerous my community was? When discussing this project with others, they shared the same sentiment. They said, this school should have thick brick walls and should have limited windows in order to avoid any stray bullets or any vandalism to the structure. The owner had something different in mind. He wanted a building with floor-to-ceiling glass at the exterior, and in the interior classrooms, he wanted floor-to-ceiling glass again. Why? So that the children can look out and so that the community can look in. Very important. You can see in the shot, the silver building is an elementary school, and the red building in the back is a high school. Wonderful architecture. Pushed the boundaries, pushed us all beyond our comfort zones and the ideas that we had of what belonged in this neighborhood. The owner also pushed that the community, the parents, the students, the maintenance staff, everyone had a say and a stake in these projects. Everyone's opinion was taken into account. And the maintenance staff even got their own offices. They were given respect, which is key. And that maintenance staff is the reason why these buildings still look impeccable to this day. One great ceremony that had a big impact on me was the topping off ceremony. Traditionally, when you have a skyscraper, the steel workers have a big ceremony, a big hoopla, where the last piece of steel is placed in the building. Well, we took the beam, we painted it white, and we had the teachers, the students, future students, parents, community members, architects, engineers, builders, all sign their name to it. What does that create? It creates a sense of accomplishment and camaraderie and presence. As we lifted that beam into the air and we placed it in its final location, you can just see the joy in everyone's face, the impact. But bear in mind, I want you to understand that this is the mentality that I had and several people in my community have, that we're not deserving of this beauty, that we're to remain outside of that beauty, that it's not for us. But it is for us. The children are shown and are expected that they are going to go to college, that they're going to have a future. And I remember when I was mentoring students in Gage Park, a couple of people would tell me, why do you expect them to go to college, Claudette? Not everyone goes to college. What the hell does that mean? That because you are a product of a challenged area, you are knocked down a notch, and you are not deserving of higher education? I think not. I am that product. Another great ceremony that took place was when these schools opened. They opened with fireworks. They opened with elaborate projections on the side of these buildings. What did that do? It reignited the action of dreaming. These students can see a tomorrow, which is extremely important, key when you're living in this environment. These photographs were taken a couple of months ago. Look at the condition of the site. Look at the interior. This is not a place where vagrants hang out. It is not a place that's dilapidated. It's an open campus where anybody can come and enjoy. Everything in this structure is purposeful. Every inch of this project was designed with the intent of inspiring these students and allowing them to dream. Dream of something bigger. Most importantly, this is a shot from the cafeteria/gymnasium, where in the distance you can see downtown Chicago. Most of the students, most of the people of Gage Park don't venture out. We stay within our community boundaries. This gives them a perspective to dream, to know that one day they will be working in a building downtown, or one day they might even own one. This is the interior of the high school. Look at the furniture selection, look at the lighting, look at the openness, look at the white walls. You're raising the bar, you're raising the expectations for these students. You're not saying that I'm going to build you a fortress and treat you like a criminal. I expect you to be somebody, and this is what this architecture screams. Books are out in the open for any student to grab, to read, to look at. They're not locked behind a closed door. Areas for them to sit, to converse, to learn collaboratively. Very important. And again, this high school, I think it's going on its second year of being built, and it's still impeccable. This structure, it's not in Gage Park, but it's still part of the same organization. And I'm proud to say that it was built by Patricia Saldana Necki. She grew up in the back of the yard neighborhood. She designed this structure. She's an architect. She's also a professor here at IIT. What that lets the children know is that even if you grow up in back of the yards, you can do something impactful. You can create something beautiful. These schools, on a regular basis, have 100% attendance rates. They have 98% or higher parent participation rates. Why is that? Because you've given the parents a voice, because you've included them in something grand, because you've let the students know you matter and I'm creating this for you. 9 months to build this structure. Why is it taking our city 3 years to construct schools? When there's a high demand, when there's overcrowding. That's why we were pushed out of our comfort zone. Because the need is now. The need is immediate, and the children cannot wait 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. This is the library inside of that school, where these children can come and learn, imagine, just look at that environment. I want to sit there. I want to learn there. It's beautiful. So what if we take this mentality that our architecture will not be dictated out of fear? Let's move that into the community setting. Let's say that our lives are not going to be dictated out of fear. That I'm going to open my blinds, I'm going to open my curtains, and I'm going to play in my backyard. What if my community starts doing that? Another story that I want to tell you before I end is that a couple of months ago, I took 2 groups of elementary schools to the elementary school that I actually showed you. They were from the southeast side of Chicago. I brought them in, I brought them up through the gym, I sat them down, and I asked them, what do you think this structure is? They told me, I think it's an office building. I said, well, what if I would tell you this is actually an elementary school where anyone in Chicago can come and attend? Their eyes bugged out. What? So I said, as you sit here, what do you feel? Mind you, they've only been in there for 5 minutes. This little boy raises his hand. Yes. It makes me feel important. Okay. Another little boy raises his hand. What does this make you feel? He said, it makes me feel like I can do anything. 5 minutes of sitting in this structure, and these children were already filled with these emotions. That's the power of architecture. That's the power of when we all come together, we push ourselves beyond what we think that we can achieve and do something great. This was more than a job to me. It was more than a job to my teammates. We put our hearts and souls into these projects. We worked 12 hours, 14-hour days. We worked Saturdays, we worked Sundays because we believed in the vision and we believed in the impact that we would create. This raised the bar of how I viewed architecture in my community and how you have to think of every single aspect, how you're going to bring change when you create something. I'm happy to say that a lot of the neighboring lots around these schools were once riddled with weeds and overgrown trees. And what these schools have done is applied pressure just by being there. And those weeds have been removed. People are upkeeping the areas around there. Businesses that were on the way out are thriving because of this school. Because of this school and what we did. The other thing that I learned is that the limitations that I put upon myself were all in my mind. They were not in my heart. This experience has given me a voice. It has given me courage. And I hope that it's doing the same. No, I know that it's doing the same for the students that walk in and out of these schools every single day. And my name is on that school. It might be behind the ceiling, but my name is on that school. Thank you.